My name is Nicholas Haskins, and I'd like a moment of your time to tell you about the 5th annual live stream for the cure. To do that, I brought along two people whom I couldn't do this event without, Gerald Morris and Dan Brennick.
Over the past 4 years, the live stream for the cure has raised over $30,000 for the Cancer Research Institute.
That contribution is helping to fund research into cancer immunotherapy, training the body's immune system to fight all forms of cancer.
This year, we're aiming for our biggest goal yet as we try to raise $15,000 in 50 hours on the air.
Tune in May 19th through the 23rd as we're joined live by podcasters and content creators from around the world.
With your help, we can continue the fight for a future immune to cancer.
Together, we can make a difference.
Hi there, I'm Lloyd.
And I'm John, and we're from Pint Comics. As we dive into your favorite pop culture topics, we may just
Occasionally
use language that could be considered
globaloney.
what? No, I mean,
Oh, foul.
exactly. Offensive.
No doubt. Crass.
You bet your ass.
Sophisticated.
What? No. Anyways, you get it by now. It's mostly just
Gutter talk.
And one more thing. Watch out for spoilers. Sometimes we drop them like trousers. You've been warned.
Listen in.
This week, we are putting the comics back in Pint Comics. I'm John. That's right. I'm John, and he's Lloyd. And we're here to talk about, we're going to talk about some comics that have come out recently. It's not a review show necessarily. It's just kind of a comics brush up, a little bit of a comics brush up. Because as you know,
catch up.
A little catch up. You know, it's in the name. We still love comics. We still talk about comics. As a matter of fact, I'll reveal it right here at the beginning of this episode 184. June of this year. The entire month of June, all 4 episodes that come out in June are going to be 100 proof book project episodes. Lloyd picked 2 books. I picked 2 books. We're gonna read these books. Guestless, no guests, just me and Lloyd.
No guests.
It's going back old school, and we're gonna do 4 weeks in a row of nothing but comic material. So you comic fans out there are excited, and you people that listen to more of the movie stuff will just join us in July. But that's all right, not a big deal. We're okay with that.
We'll lose a few downloads. Oh well.
That's okay. We are Pint Comics. So I said let's do this. Let's have a little quick powwow talking about some comic books. And Lloyd picked a couple books he wants to talk about. I think 3 on his own. I only have 2. And then we're going to talk about one together, I think, right, Lloyd? We're talking about Okay, so we're going to start off with the one we're going to talk about together.
Yeah, let's do that first.
Alien #1 recently came out through Marvel. Now, as you know, Marvel, Disney, the whole buyout, all that stuff happened years ago. And recently, Disney purchased 20th Century Fox. It gained the Alien franchise, essentially. Since I have a little bit of a factoid here for you, Dark Horse Comics carried Alien since 1988. 88 to 1999, they published Alien comics exclusively. And then there was a break from 99 to 08 where nothing came out. And then from 08 until just last year, essentially 2020, they printed them again. So they were the only ones printing Alien and Predator, all that stuff. And that's where like the original Alien vs. Predator comic came out. There was a sequel comic written by Mark Verheiden, to the Aliens movie itself. A lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff. So now it's under the Marvel wing, and Marvel decides we're gonna put some stuff out here. So issue 1 came out, and as much of an Alien fan as I am, I wasn't going to pick it up.
You were reticent to get this, huh?
I'm right at the point with comics where I'm being very careful as to what I'm picking up new. You know, money and time, and I'm not catching up on the stuff I want to catch up on. And I'm just like, you know what? I love Alien stuff, but maybe if I don't buy one, I'll be okay if I never buy any of them. As it has, I pick up my comics in 2 different places. The place that I get my Alien stuff threw it in my pile. And I noticed it, and I wasn't going to be a dick and go, I don't want this, because he knows I want Alien comics. So I took it. And I said, I'll base, if I'm going to get this further, off of issue number 1. Lloyd, do you normally read Alien stuff? I know you're an Alien fan, but do you read the comics?
I'm an Alien fan. No, I don't typically read the comics. I remember at one of the comic shows we went to east of the river, I did buy, I think it was Alien Predator, the first run of that.
That's great, yeah.
Haven't even read that yet. I started the first issue, never finished it. But I did read the last one put out last year, the original screenplay.
Correct. Which that will be one of the episodes we're doing in our June 100 proof month. We're going to be looking at that miniseries, which was based.
We already gave away the first.
We'll give that one away. That's it.
Yeah.
The other 3 you have to find out.
That's a freebie for you.
That's a freebie. No charge. No charge.
Yeah. So beside that one, this is the first Alien series I'm reading. Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, I've read a ton of them. They're not all good. One of the edicts that Mike Richardson, the publisher over at Dark Horse, had in '88 when they took over the licensing for this franchise was that it was never going to be an ongoing series. It was going to be a series of miniseries and a series of graphic novels, and like you'll get stories here and there, but it's not going to be month after month after month. There's no Alien issue 175 out there. It's just different ones. And like I said before, I've read some really good stories. I've read some fucking terrible ones. There's one I can't bash it. I picked it up at like one of the shows, like East of the River. It was a single story. It was a hardcover, and art was great. Man, it was such a turd. Boy, I'll have to find it in my collection and post it out there and tell people to stay away from it. I think it might have been called like Alien the Bridge or something, but it was fucking terrible.
Just a bad story.
Bad story, and it was just kind of nonsensical. I didn't dig it at all. So Marvel takes over, and they decide, and they made it a big deal too, because the entirety of I think it was last month's publishing stuff, every Marvel superhero had a cover that featured an alien on it, even though the story didn't have it. You know how they do that? They push their new property or whatever the big thing. Like Venom was big, going into this year, and there was one point where Venom was on every fucking cover of every book.
Everything, yeah.
Right. So now the alien is on everything.
Carnage.
Alien is sticking out of Cap's dick hole. Alien.
I didn't notice that, really.
Yeah, Alien is part of the Fantastic Four now.
Oh, jeez.
It doesn't make any sense. But Alien #1, written by a guy named Philip Kennedy Johnson. I'm not familiar with him. He is written for mostly what I wrote is Boom Comics in terms of comics. He did a book called Warlords of Appalachia, and he did a kind of timely Kong Gods of Skull Island book. But this guy's
did he do that?
Yeah, this guy's an Eisner nominated.
He wrote a book that I was reading last year, which I eventually bailed out of, called The Last God. You might have remembered that. It was a DC dark label, whatever they call that. Yeah, and it was good. It was fantastic art and a pretty good story. It seemed almost like maybe a gaming story, but I kind of got lost in it after about 8 or 9 issues, and I bailed on that. But it was good. Like you said, he's even done some Marvel work, Boom, Aftershock. He is a trained musician. He's played with Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman, Moscow Philharmonic Orchestra.
Wow.
He travels around with those guys sometimes too.
All right. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Talented fellow.
And yeah, like I said, Eisner nominated for some of his work. I think he does novels too. The artist is a little bit more of a household name. It's Salvador LaRocca, who's been around forever. In Marvel, he's done Invincible Iron Man. He's a huge X-Men artist, Uncanny X-Men. Darth Vader, he did a lot of the Darth Vader stuff.
Yeah, he did that first run, right?
He did the first run with
Kieran Gillen.
Kieran Gillen, correct, yes.
Yeah.
Now here's a little controversy. Is Salvador LaRocca has recently been in kind of a, I guess you could say like a little bit of heat amongst comic book artists, because a lot of people claim that they don't necessarily claim he's a Greg Land. If you know what a Greg Land is someone that is accused often and proven often to be a tracer. Greg Land has been known to do that. LaRocca has not been necessarily pointed at for that, but he's been pointed at more for just kind of the stiltness in his, like, he's trying so hard. We talked about this a little bit on the Star Wars
actually,
episode.
one of my notes is about the art, how it's a little stiff.
Right.
To me, it almost seems just like poses rather than action.
Exactly. And so last 3 years ago or so, you got to check him out on Twitter. His name, he goes by, I think, at Tyranno Jones. An artist named Tristan Jones, who did a couple of series of aliens that were really cool. One was called Resistance, and I think one was called Defiance. And this guy is literally, to me, maybe like the best alien artist out there. This guy is incredible. He kind of, once Alien went over to Marvel, he started to post on his Twitter how mad he was because he would put up, like, Greg Land is doing the covers for a lot of the Alien stuff, and he's doing it for the omnibuses they're putting out. And he actually would put a picture of the omnibus out and then a picture that he drew and put it over it, and it's just traced. In the first spread page here, if you remember, there's a dream sequence that's just filled with aliens.
Yeah, all the aliens across the 2 pages.
Jones takes pictures of toys and stuff he's drawn and superimposes it over that, and it fits right over. It fits right over. I had kind of read, because I follow him on Twitter, I had kind of read his frustrations and his anger over all this, and that's one of the reasons I decided I wasn't going to read this book. Having it in there, I bought it. So yes, I supported it. I can certainly say after reading the first issue, and this is jumping ahead a little bit, I don't think I'll be reading any more issues. It didn't pull me in.
You didn't like it, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. I think LaRocca is a good artist, and whether or not you want to get into what he does, if he's a cheater of an artist or not, I think some of his stuff is really good. And then like there was scenes where, and we talked about this on the Star Wars episode with Pat Whalen, where we talked about like just trying so hard to make someone look like someone in real life. And obviously Bishop is a character in this.
Yeah. So when I was reading this, I didn't know at first that Bishop was a character, and I'm looking at the very first rendition of his face, and it's much younger Bishop.
Right.
And I thought to myself, that guy looks a little bit like Bishop.
Yeah.
And then I turned a page and saw him on another page. I'm like, oh, well, that's definitely him.
It seemed like he was just trying his hardest to draw Lance Henriksen as picturesque as possible. And
Yes.
like I said, there's a stillness to his art. All right. And whenever we do one of these comic shows, you're always better at describing the art because you're an artist. But to me, it's a stiffness and a stillness that doesn't feel right to me.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Yeah. The story itself,
stiff. Yeah, it's just stiff images.
Stiff images. It doesn't feel like dynamic at all. It even when you get into some of the action stuff, it doesn't really feel dynamic. And I don't feel that way about all of his work. I thought his stuff in Darth Vader, there was a lot of really great stuff. But after reading the first issue, the story is there's this Wayland Yutani, which is the company that's, throughout Alien and Aliens, has a what is it, like a space station, and
Epsilon station. Yep.
Epsilon station, and this one character is a retired security chief. He's a colonial Marine who at one point had gotten into the business with the aliens, and his son is some kind of radical who's trying to take down Wayland Yutani, and it all ends up, there's some cool flashes in it. There's one in particular flash they keep going to where it's like inside a cryo tube with the word alien inside.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Like
you kind of gave a feeling of claustrophobia.
And that, like, that, just the visual of that, like if you saw that cryo tube, not to open it because there's someone in there and
right.
that's got an alien in them. But I don't know, like there was good visuals, but now I try to give everything 2 issues. So I will probably give this a second issue because you can't really base it on one, but I wasn't super impressed with 1. Were you super impressed with 1?
I don't know if super impressed is the right word, but I read it wanting to know what was going to happen next. I'm a little more into it than you are. I thought the art was good. I mean, the images some of them are fantastic, but again, like we both said, it seems a little stiff. Like the action is not really quite there for me. Unlike another book I'll talk about. But I did kind of like the story, the father coming home, wanting to connect with his son. The son, meanwhile, is like a radical, maybe the leader of this group that wants to infiltrate Wayland Corporation for evils that they believe, that they've done. They're going to make them pay. And then they did go in there, right? They start, they wanted to take pictures of the server farm. That was their big goal. We got to get pictures of the server farm. It turns out it's not a server farm. It's really an alien farm.
Yeah.
Aliens and tanks and stuff.
It's a bad farm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like one of the things with the Alien franchise, especially like in the comics, is because, we're going to Alien again. I get it in a movie if you try to build up suspense. And even though we've seen the Alien 2, 3, 4, 5 movies in, you don't want to just throw it right out at you. But it just seems like in this book, we're dancing around. We get that first page or that spread shot.
Right.
That's like all aliens, but that's a dream sequence.
Yep.
But then we're kind of dancing around any view of the alien in this thing. And
yeah, well, you're meeting the characters. You're getting a little character development.
Yeah, I almost wish they'd be brave enough to just go boom, first page alien, I'm not saying it has to be all action, but like, let's not play this long game. Like, is there going to be an alien? Yeah, there's going to be a fucking alien.
Of course there is.
Yeah.
I did like the sequence. I guess it was in this book, Bishop is more like, I guess, a psychologist or a evaluator of his mental state. The other character, and they obviously share a past together because they were both in the same mission. But Gabe Cruz, that main character, he's reliving a flashback, and I kind of liked where they went with the guy who was really getting the business from the alien.
Oh yeah,
kept saying was, "Damn it, today was my day off."
Yeah,
called me in. This was supposed to be Peterson or whoever, and he just couldn't get that out of his head. And I know that's probably exactly how I would be feeling. Like, damn it, I had today off and they called me in. Why did I come in?
Yeah, I did like that.
I thought that was kind of funny. That was real.
He's cocooned in an alien web, and all he keeps talking about is how his wife can't like cancel the tickets or whatever. It's like there's a lot worse stuff that's about, and you see there's face huggers around them, and there's other guys with face huggers on them, and I get that. I do get that. I do get that idea of like, what the fuck, like I wasn't even supposed to. It's very Clerks. I wasn't even supposed to be here today.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, so that's Alien from Marvel. Issue 1 is out now. If you want to check it out. Lloyd, give us the next book that you checked out and tell us what it's all about.
All right. So this one, I'll go with Serial, book called Serial, not the podcast called Serial, Top 5 Serials, but a book called Serial by Terry Moore in Abstract Studios. Now, if you know anything about Terry Moore, he independent publisher, really amazing creator. I've met him a few times, drawn me some nice little sketches. He has the Strangers in Paradise book, very popular indie book. What do you do? Echo, Motor Girl. What are some of the other ones? Rachel Rising, which plays into this one. So 5 years was his latest before this. And it's always kind of like these weird, quirky characters, a lot of female characters, strong females, very beautiful. I mean, this guy can draw a woman like no one's business. But what this one is, it's like a revenge sort of murder mystery book. You're not quite sure what's going on so much. It features, his style, which is, like I said, black and white, nice line work. Lots of visual storytelling is what this guy does. Not a whole lot of dialogue. So if you like those kind of books, you could sort of go through a little quicker, but you do need to pay attention to details. So in this first issue, basically it starts out with this creepy guy, and he's making the moves on her, and she's saying no. She's obviously younger, she's like 16. He's like in his 20s. He ends up falling over the cliff she had the ability to save him, but she didn't. She just let him die. And then all of a sudden, she's cleaning up the car. She's taking off. She grabs a motorcycle and she takes off. So it's pretty apparent that she set this whole thing up. And then the book goes straight to something else. It goes to this little girl character called Zoe having a dream sequence. And then she wakes up. She goes to help out the wife of the man that was found at the bottom of the cliff. And it just turns into sort of this investigation. All sorts of crazy things start happening. You're wondering who this little girl is. She's 10 years old, apparently 10 years old, but she's really a lot older. And if you've read Rachel Rising, you know why that is, but I won't give anything away here. And it's a really good book. I love Terry Moore stuff. I love reading his stuff. I like his art. So I support him as much as I can.
So it's not a sequel to Rachel Rising, but there's a thread.
There's a thread, and there's a thread in all of his books, really.
Kind of the Terry Moore universe.
Yeah.
All right. My next book is from IDW. It's called Sea of Sorrows. The writer, Rich Dowick. I hope I'm saying that right. Rich Dowick. And artist, Alex Cormick. Alex Cormick is a friend of ours who we've known for several years now. I have 2 incredible pieces of art that Alex has done for me over the course of the years, and super friendly guy from Massachusetts. And he's a fantastic artist. These 2 guys worked last year on a book called Road of Bones, or 2 years ago, that I liked quite a bit. Rich has also written, these guys are both Comics Tribe guys, right? Comics Tribe is a very cool independent comic company out there. You should check them out. Comics with an X Tribe. Rich wrote a book called The Wailing Blade that was drawn by another guy that we're friendly with, Joe Mulvey, incredible artist in his own right. Alex, besides Road of Bones, Also drew for Comics Tribe a really cool Oxymoron story. Oxymoron is kind of, yeah, he's kind of their big, he's like kind of their Joker character in a way. And one of my favorite books the last few years, he draws a book called Sink.
Yeah.
That's written by John Lees, a Scottish writer.
Scottish John Lees.
Scottish John, yeah. I've had a few conversations with John Lees that I've caught like 6 or 7 words
If I stare at his mouth, I can understand about 2 or 3 words per.
He has one of the heaviest brogues I've ever heard in my life. And I don't know a lot of Scottish people, but I've seen other Scottish people that I understood. John is not there. But he's a fantastic writer in his own right. He's doing a book right now called Mountainhead, I think, for possibly Image or IDW.
He's a pretty busy guy too.
He's a pretty busy guy. But Alex and him did Sink, which if you've never heard of that, please check it out. It's essentially about this area in Glasgow in Scotland, in the city. It's the worst part of the city, and each issue it's an anthology. Each issue is someone else's worst nightmare coming true.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. Sea of Sorrows is really cool because when I first met Alex, I bought an incredible print. He sells great prints whenever you see him at a show. I bought an incredible print of a bell diver and this giant, like, Kraken type creature underwater. It's done in black and it's got like very stark whites and apparently this is something he loves because Sea of Sorrows is very heavy on that motif. It's essentially, the story is 1926, a ragtag group of adventurers, including a World War I shell-shocked vet, go to the site of a submarine that has crashed a couple years prior, and it has tons of gold on it, tons of Nazi gold. Gold. It's essentially, these guys are going down to retrieve it. I won't give it away, but I won't say what it is. I've only read 2 of the 3 issues so far. Something supernatural is happening. You find out in the first issue, but I won't tell you what it is.
I think number 4 just came out.
Okay, I haven't picked up my books in the last week or 2, so I have to get that. It's a limited series. I really enjoy it. I feel like the characters are well written. It's this like roughneck crew. But to me, the real star of this whole thing is Alex's art. Are you reading it or no?
I picked up the first one because I like to support Alex and I like his art as well. I didn't subscribe to it, so then I ended up, just missing out on 2 and 3 because I didn't really know that they were out.
All right.
And like I said, I saw 4 today. I went and looked back and there was no more number 2, so I'll probably wait and get it at a con or something. Find
the trade.
Start up again or a trade.
I think for the art, and I'm not saying anything about the story. I think the story is good too. For the art alone, you're going to love it.
Yeah. I did enjoy that first issue. I remember lots of deep blacks and.
Oh my God, I
won't say what I saw because maybe that's the secret you're talking about.
Yeah. He's a master of drawing in like the dark black environment. Which
yes,
when he draws underwater, it's not like an issue of Aquaman where it's bright and it's underwater. It's right. Pitch black. Just the aesthetics of a bell diver with the helmet and everything, and there's sharks in the water, and an Alex Cormac shark is like a severe shark. It's a shark with like an extra row of teeth.
It is a severe shark.
But I say check that out. IDW Sea of Sorrows. I think it's 5 issues. I could be wrong. And like we said, 4 are out right now. So if you're at the comic store and you're looking for something cool to check out, ask them for Sea of Sorrows. What's your next one, Master?
Next one, let's go with Berserker. If I can find it over here. Here we go. So Berserker, written by Keanu Reeves.
Who's that?
With assists by, I guess, Matt Kint. And art by Ron Garney, friend of the Pint. Hopefully he's still a friend. We haven't seen him in a long time.
Oh, Ron, I'm going to say this. I want to say this right now because it sounds goofy, but I want to point out what kind of a guy Ron is. Ron was on the radio show very early. He came over to my house and did an episode. He lives very close to us.
Yep.
He's a sweetheart of a guy. And not to get too far into personal stuff, but my wife was ill last month. And Ron is familiar with the situation there. And this Berserker comes out and it's huge. It's huge. It's rolling over records. It's selling. It's huge.
It really is.
Ron posts on Facebook, a little, thing about how well it did, and I think, he had some stats of like, what it did sales wise and everything. And I just wrote on there, congratulations, Ron. awesome. I did pick up a copy. I have not read it yet, but I did pick up a copy. His response to me was, John, how is your wife doing?
He is such a good guy.
Like, I don't know. That means a lot to me, and that says a lot to me. And he's always been super friendly with us. And in the time of this guy's like most incredible success, which he deserves, a moment like that is very human, and it meant a ton to me. And it meant a ton to my wife, because I actually told her that. My wife was like, I think my wife is slightly enamored with him. He's a good looking guy.
He's a good looking guy, man. He's solid.
and when he came over, he was so like, he talked to my wife for so long. And again, not to, I get it. He's, I'm not trying to put it this way, but he's not Will Smith. He's not, in that stratosphere of superstar, but here's a guy that's, a pro and been around for a long time. And who's coming over and hanging out and not acting like a star. He's just a regular dude, and he's always been super nice. So I just want to put that out there. Ron Garney is one of the nicest guys I've ever met in comics.
He's definitely the guy that I like to go talk to at the cons.
Yeah.
Hang out there, hear what he's saying, just talk, chat to him, just like, man to man kind of stuff.
Yeah, very cool guy. And before we get into Berserker too much, last year he did a incredible run 2 years ago on a 5-issue run on Conan. That Savage. Conan, the Savage Sword of Conan. That was fucking awesome. All right, Manser.
That was. So this Berserker, you get after your introduction of the main character, which looks like Keanu Reeves kind of on steroids in a Berserker mode. It looks kind of like, I don't want to say caveman. How would you even describe this guy? Kind of like Conan, sort of, really.
Yeah, bearded. Yeah,
bearded guy, long hair, just all muscle, just crazy action. So anyway, you're introduced to this character, and then it just quickly and literally jumps into the action for 23. I counted 23 pulse-pounding pages. Just action. The very first page is a splash scene of him jumping out of a plane, and it's amazing, And then that stuff is interspersed with dialogue with a conversation that he has had with his handler. After the fighting goes on, which he takes much damage, and degrades quite a bit. And then it kind of goes into the next portion of the book, which is the technological healing process. He's hooked up to all kinds of wires. They're wrapping bandages around him that have like circuit boards on them and stuff, with amazing Garney art. And you get a little more conversation now with a different character. He's not really considered a god, but he can't really die. He just wants to know that he has mortality. And then it goes into the third part where he gets a little deeper about his thoughts and what he can remember. And basically the end of the book is, I remember being born. You flip the page and then it says, da, 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 years ago. I won't give it out. I won't give it away, but many years ago. Not just like 100 years ago.
Right.
Multiple levels of hundreds of years ago.
Trillions of years ago.
So it's fantastic. I cannot wait to the next one. I bought 2 covers of this thing because it's so amazing. It just sort of disappeared. I was expecting this several months ago, and it just never came out. And then I saw Ron Garney on Instagram like 2 weeks ago saying, it's coming very soon.
Yeah, because there was, I think, a big Kickstarter involved with this. If I'm correct, I think that they did some stuff like crowdfunding as well.
Okay, yeah, could be. As soon as I saw Garney and Matt Kint, Keanu Reeves, I was kind of cool too. But yeah, I signed up ages ago for this thing.
That's awesome. It's funny. The honest truth is the only reason I have not read it yet, besides the fact that I don't have a ton of time right now, is my comic room and even out in my living room is such a mess that it came in on that week's comics. I put it in a pile and I don't know where the fuck it is. So
haven't seen it since.
I have to find it, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. All right, so Berserker, and what is that again? Who does that?
That's by Boom.
Boom with an apostrophe.
Apostrophe.
All right, my last
exclamation point.
Yeah, duh. Apostrophe. You know what? We should take the apostrophe out of Pint of Comics and change it to an exclamation point.
Yes.
So that it's now Pint Comics.
I love it.
All right. My last book I'll talk about is a DC book. I'm not doing a lot of DC right now. They're confusing me. I'm hearing rumors right now that a couple of DC books in like the next month or so are going to $5.99 an issue, Batman included, which I do collect. I'll tell you right now, if you go to $5.99, I'm running. I don't know if that's true. It was reported.
$5.99.
It was reported on in Bleeding Cool News, and I get it. That could be bullshit, but I'm just putting it out there that's too much. But I am a Swamp Thing fan, and very recently they did a 2-issue miniseries of that future state thing for Swamp Thing.
Yep.
I didn't read that, but the guy who's doing the 10-issue miniseries they're doing now, titled The Swamp Thing, named Ram V.
Yes.
He is writing a 10-issue miniseries. He has written Catwoman and Justice League Dark and an Image book called Paradiso. And it's being drawn by a guy named Mike Perkins. Mike is an incredible artist. He has done some other Swamp Thing stuff in the past as well. So this is a 10-issue miniseries. And what I dug about this book, I read the second issue actually came out today as we record. I did not get my books. I wanted to pick it up and read it, but I couldn't get out there. I had I got out of work a little bit late, and I had a choice. I could drive a couple towns over and get my books, or I could grab beer for tonight, and I grabbed beer instead. And you know that I don't have a problem, everybody. It's just that I wanted beer, and I could wait a couple days for my books. So yeah, it's called The Swamp Thing, 10 issues, and essentially we're following a brand new character, Levi, a Dr. Levi Kamei, I think is his last name. And the way that they're doing this story is they're dropping you kind of like right in, like en media res, where Alec Holland doesn't appear in this book in issue 1. It doesn't appear that he is the Swamp Thing. It appears that this Dr. Levi character is. Did you read this, Lloyd, or no?
Yes, I did.
What I wrote down when I finished off this book was it's a very real introduction to a character. The villain is also a human changed by its environment, which Swamp Thing, that's a fucking motif that runs.
Sure is.
But I think the main note I took was this is Swamp Thing as a werewolf story. Like,
okay, yeah.
Like this character is having these terrible dreams, and at one point there is a scene where in his sleep he changes. You know, Swamp Thing doesn't change back and forth. Swamp Thing is the essence of Alec Holland, has, you know, it kind of seeped into this, you know, into nature, and that's it. It's nature with a soul, basically.
That's it.
That's it. And this is more like this guy, as he dreams or sleeps, is becoming a Swamp Thing. You know, I don't want to spoil too much, but I will spoil this moment. The ending of the book basically ends with him becoming Swamp Thing, and it ends where, you know, like if you think about American Werewolf in London, when he wakes up in the zoo, you know, he's got blood all over him. He's killed all those animals. In this one, he falls out of a tree naked, and like, so like he's not a werewolf, but he's the Swamp Thing. And when he turns back to being human, he gets spit out of a random tree somewhere. I thought that was fucking great.
That was good.
Mike Perkins' art is fucking fantastic.
It really does a Swamp Thing justice. I like it.
You don't get a lot of the Swamp Thing
pages.
Yeah.
With the, you know, not square panels, but like organic looking.
Yeah. The first issue drew me in. I'm in for the 10, and I'm, you know, I hate to say this, but I'm glad it's a mini series, so I don't have to give it like, you know, it's like the, you know, the old, I could date her for a while, and when I get tired of her, or, you know, or when she gets tired of me, she can go away, that kind of thing. I don't have to worry about this going to issue fucking 400 or anything, and I get my Swamp Thing fix. So
I hear you. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm kind of like in just doing minis now.
Yeah. Minis are can be great, and with a character like Swamp Thing, who we've kind of proved time and time again, you know, who's a niche character who does have a lot of fans, but he can't really support an ongoing book. It never happens. It never. You get an ongoing Swamp Thing book, and you could just pretty much say, "Yeah, I'll get this because I know by like issue 26 it's done." You know, even if you got you know, like fucking Scott Snyder on it. Scott Snyder was writing Swamp Thing at the same time he was writing that very popular Batman book. That Batman book could have gone on for years if he wanted to stay with it. You know, I'm pretty sure they would have told him we're cutting the Swamp Thing loose. You know, it's.
I think the last run of Swamp Thing was probably the longest in quite a while.
Yeah, that last solid run. Yeah, for sure. All right, Master. What is it? What, you got one more book and that's it?
One more book. So my last book is called ENIAC, ENIAC, and this is by the new, I guess, startup company called Bad Idea. Now, Bad Idea can only be bought in very select few stores. I think there's 200 around the country. There's a couple in Connecticut, but our very own Boom Tube Comics was at 1675 Meriden Waterbury.
Minus 200. It's 1475.
1475. Sorry, Dan.
Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in Southington, Connecticut. Lovely Southington, Connecticut.
Lovely Southington. Yeah, you can go get this book there. Run down there, get it. Number 2 just came out today. It's a beautiful book. Very thick cardstock covers. Really cool art on the cover there. This also written coincidentally by Matt Kint, and art by Doug Braithwaite and Diego Rodriguez on colors. ENIAC. It's a pretty dense book, so I'm not going to get too into it. But basically, it's a story of some special ops or ex-special ops agents that are hired by the U.S. Secretary of Defense to find and exterminate ENIAC, which stands for Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer. Before ENIAC can basically, I guess, start World War III, destroy humanity, whatever it's going to be. ENIAC is the first supercomputer. There's a lot of history in the book. There's a lot of flashbacks. There's some buildup before you get to that scene of these 2 women who are hired. These 2 agents are women. In the beginning, it shows you they're doing several missions, and one leads to another and another. And then they meet this Secretary of Defense in the middle of a desert, butt naked. So two naked women in the desert, can't go wrong starting a book like that.
No.
He describes to them what ENIAC is, how it started back in basically 1942, I believe. It was brought on to create the atom bomb and program this computer to, win the war, World War II. According to this comic book, it determined that we should have bombed Hiroshima and then Nagasaki, right? So that was ENIAC's decision, according to this book. Historically, what do you call that?
Retroact. Yeah.
They're changing history just for the sake of the book. It's very compelling. And the cool thing is, this guy's meeting these 2 women in the desert because they don't want to be, and no electronics around. They don't want to be surveilled. But ENIAC knows everything. ENIAC can see them, sense them, knows their every move before they even do it. Is always 3 steps ahead. They've got 3 days to find, locate, and destroy this computer.
All right. So,
and it's really cool. Yeah, it's pretty dense. It took me 2 reads to really get all the nuances.
Dan, the owner and proprietor of BoomTube Comics, again, 1475 Meriden Waterbury Turnpike. Go and look them up online. Follow him on Instagram. Great store. He showed me a month or 2 ago, kind of like the lineup of Bad Idea books. And I remember seeing the ENIAC, and if I remember correctly, is Matt Kint involved in 2 of the books?
Yeah, at least 2. I know he's doing a one-shot.
Okay.
I think called Whalesville or something like that.
Yeah, there was ENIAC looked interesting to me, and there was another one. And
Tankers just came out today. That was their second ongoing or miniseries book. I haven't read it, obviously, but that looks like a good one.
Was that kind of a like a mech book, like robots?
I think that was Tankers.
Yeah, there was one that I think looked like it was mechs, and I was interested in that. But what's really great about this is that they're going out, they're partnering with these small businesses, and if you want these books, you have got to go and get it from not just your local comic shop, but the right local comic shop. So I assume if you go to Bad Idea, maybe find their website, you can find out who else has it. But if you're in the Connecticut area, just go see Dan, right? And then
go to BoomTube.
Go to BoomTube. Ask him for a bad idea. Ask him for a bad idea, and then maybe look around, grab some stuff off the shelves because that's what we do.
Pick up Berserker.
Get Berserker. It's a good time. Okay. So I think that was a good episode. I think we had some fun there. I think we talked about some comic books. Oh, yeah. I think we should do more like this again. Dip our toes back in every once in a while.
Yep.
Hopefully, if you like the pint, you chilled with us. If you love comics, seriously, if you're interested in any of these books, and if you want to know more, hit us up in the messenger. That's always an option. Maybe send an email over to us, however you want to do it. Go on to Pint Comics on Facebook and type in, I read the Swamp Thing and it was fucking stupid. You made me spend $4, you asshole. And I'll, I'm not going to reimburse you because you have free will, but whatever. So just go find us, comment, all that stuff. Manster, where can they find us if they want to do stuff? Manster, where can they find us if they want to do such a thing?
www.pintocomics.com. Check out the website. You can get podcasts there. Hit us up on YouTube at Pint Comics. and on Facebook and Twitter at Pint O Comics, and on Instagram at Pint_O_comics.
Get out there, go to a local comic shop, make it boom tube if you're there. If not, anyone. Support them, buy comics, give something a shot. Don't always go just to Marvel. Don't go to, I say this, I covered a Marvel and a DC book, but don't just go to Marvel and DC. Be like the Manster. Find some company with some fucked up name you never heard of before. Buy one of the first issues.
Check it out.
It might be something you love. And you know what? If you didn't, hey, you supported someone's dream. Manster, why don't you tell everybody out there what to do?
See ya.
It's not really something to do. I shouldn't have said that. But you know what? See you anyway. No, I like that. See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over. Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.